The vast emptiness of space gave no indication of the approaching storm. The Galactic Council chambers, nestled in the heart of the Arcturus system, buzzed with the usual diplomatic chatter. Representatives from 100 worlds lounged in their gravity-adjusted seats, their varied physiologies accommodated by the ancient chamber's adaptive architecture. None suspected that today would forever change the course of galactic history. Counselor Vexarin, with his iridescent scales shimmering under the artificial light, was mid-sentence when the alarms began to blare. His four eyes widened as the emergency protocols activated, bathing the chamber in crimson warning lights. Unknown vessel detected entering restricted space, announced the automated system, its synthetic voice eerily calm amidst the growing panic. Classification unknown. Size unprecedented. The main viewing screen flickered to life, revealing what at first appeared to be a small moon. But as the image sharpened and perspective adjusted, gasps rippled through the chamber. This was no celestial body. The angular, metallic construct bristled with what could only be weapon systems. Its hull was marked with unfamiliar symbols that would soon become recognized and feared throughout known space. Magnify those markings, ordered High Chancellor Zell Thursday, her tentacles writhing with anxiety. The screen zoomed in, revealing a simple flag, blue with white stars, red and white stripes, and beside it, letters in a script few in the chamber recognized. Yennecy Everest. "It's them," whispered Ambassador Krill. "The Earth-dwellers. The humans." The chamber erupted in chaos. Stories of humans had circulated as myths among spacefaring species for decades. Isolated on their watery world in an unremarkable solar system, they had been deemed too primitive for contact, barely having achieved rudimentary space travel. A scientific outpost had been established in their system's outer reaches to monitor their development, but reports had stopped coming 3 Earth years ago. The Council had sent investigators, who never returned. Now they knew why. Lieutenant Commander Sarachin stood on the bridge of the UNSC Everest, Earth's first true interstellar battleship. At 34, she had never expected to be among the first humans to make official contact with alien civilizations. Yet here she was, second in command of humanity's flagship, bearing witness to history. "They've detected us, Admiral," she reported, studying the sensor readouts. "Their security protocols are interesting, advanced in some ways, surprisingly primitive in others." Admiral Thomas Hayes nodded, his weathered face betraying no emotion. 50 years of naval service had taught him the value of stoic demeanor. As expected, open a channel using the translation matrix the Arcturus beacon provided. The communications officer nodded. "Channel open, sir." Admiral Hayes straightened his uniform and faced the camera. "This is Admiral Thomas Hayes of the United Nations Space Command vessel Everest. We represent Earth and her colonies. We come seeking answers and, if necessary, justice." In the council chambers, the translation came through clearly, sending another wave of murmurs to the gathered representatives. "What do they mean, Justice?" hissed Counselor Vexarin to his aide. "What could they possibly—" "The Proxima incident," interrupted Chancellor Zell Thursday, her voice hollow. "They must have discovered what happened. 3 years earlier, a faction of the militaristic Drothi Imperium had violated council directives and attempted to establish a covert mining operation in the Proxima Centauri system, the closest star to Earth's sun. When human explorers stumbled upon their operation, the Drothi commander had panicked and opened fire, destroying the smaller vessel and its crew of 7. The council had condemned the action and demanded the responsible parties be surrendered for justice. The Drothi had claimed to comply, but rumors persisted that the commander had been secretly promoted rather than punished. Apparently, humanity had not been as blind to these events as the council had believed. "We should stall them," suggested one representative. Our combined fleets would be suicide," cut in Admiral Cora, the council's military advisor. Her holographic form flickered as she transmitted from the defensive headquarters. "I've analyzed what limited scans we have of their vessel. The energy readings alone suggest weapons technology beyond our current understanding. And if this is merely their vanguard, on the Everest, Commander Chin approached the Admiral. "Sir, we're receiving an incoming transmission from what appears to be their governing body." Hayes nodded. On screen, the face that appeared belonged to Chancellor Zell Thursday, though, of course, the humans had no way of knowing her position. Her translator converted her harmonics into English. Greetings, representatives of Earth. I am High Chancellor Zell Thursday of the Galactic Council. Your arrival is unexpected. We have many questions. As do we, Chancellor, replied Hayes, primarily regarding the destruction of our research vessel near Proxima Centauri and the subsequent cover-up by your council. Zell Thursday's expression remained unreadable to human eyes, but those in the council chamber could see her chromatophores shifting to patterns indicating extreme distress. We assure you there was no cover-up. The responsible parties were dealt with according to our laws. Then you won't mind providing full records of proceedings and punishments, Hayes countered, as a show of good faith. In the tense silence that followed, Commander Chen studied the alien faces on screen. So different from humans, yet she could still recognize the universal language of fear and calculation. These beings had never expected to face consequences from the primitive Earthlings. What the Council didn't know, what humanity had kept hidden during their years of apparent isolation, was that the Proxima incident had provided Earth with its first extraterrestrial technology. The recovery of debris had accelerated human advancement by centuries, allowing them to reverse engineer gravity control, energy weapons, and faster-than-light travel. While the galaxy believed humans were still attempting their first tentative steps to Mars, Earth had been building a fleet. Princess Lyra of the Aldrin Conclave watched the proceedings from her private chambers. 1 year ago, her royal transport had been attacked by pirates in a remote system. With her guards overwhelmed, all seemed lost until an unidentified ship intervened, destroying the pirates and rescuing her. Her savior, wearing an environmental suit that concealed their species, had refused identification or reward before disappearing. Now, watching the human admiral, something in his voice triggered a memory. Could it be? Had her mysterious rescuer been human? The implications were staggering. As the diplomatic standoff continued, uncertainty gripped the galaxy. The humans had arrived with just one ship, but it was unlike anything the Council races had seen before. What else had these supposedly primitive beings developed in their isolation? What else had they learned? And most importantly, what would they do next? Back on Earth, the United Nations Space Command headquarters buzzed with activity. Holographic displays showed the Everest position in real time, surrounded by smaller feeds monitoring communications and defensive systems. This moment had been years in the making, orchestrated with painstaking precision since the Proxima disaster. General Diana Walsh paced before the central display, her service medals catching the light with each turn. As the architect of humanity's military expansion, she had pushed for this confrontation despite the risks. "Any updates from Hayes?" she asked the communications officer. "Still in diplomatic talks, ma'am." The council peers rattled. Walsh allowed herself a small smile. Good. They should be. She remembered the day the Proxima survivors' final transmission had reached Earth. Only 2 of the original 7 crew had survived long enough to record what happened, their escape pod damaged but functional enough to broadcast their dying message. The footage had been classified immediately, deemed too destabilizing for public consumption. The official story mentioned only a tragic accident during early interstellar testing. But within military and government circles, that footage had changed everything. The dying words of Captain Elena Rodriguez, describing the unprovoked attack by alien vessels, had unified Earth's fractious governments like nothing in history. Second Fleet reports ready status, General, announced Colonel Jackson from station. The Zeus, Apollo, and Athena are positioned at the designated coordinates. Cloaking systems operational. Walsh nodded. The Everest hadn't arrived alone after all. 3 additional battleships waited in nearby systems, their presence unknown to the Galactic Council, thanks to the cloaking technology reverse-engineered from the Proxima wreckage. Hayes' diplomatic approach was genuine, but backed by firepower. In her private chamber aboard the massive council station, Princess Lyra accessed secure files that few knew existed. Her royal status in the Aldrin Conclave granted her privileges even within council systems. She scrolled through classified reports about human development, finding discrepancies that confirmed her suspicions. The official monitoring station had indeed gone silent 3 years ago, not because humans had destroyed it, but because the observers had been compromised. The last transmission included fragmented data about unusual energy signatures from Earth's moon, suggesting hidden facilities. The Council had dismissed it as equipment malfunction. "They've been watching us all along," Lyra whispered to herself, "and we never noticed them watching back." Her thoughts returned to her mysterious rescuer from a year ago. During the brief encounter, they had refused to remove their helmet, communicating only through a voice modulator. But there had been one moment, when a pirate's lucky shot had damaged the environmental suit sleeve, that Lyra had glimpsed skin. Pink-hued skin, unlike any Council species. Human skin. On the Everest Bridge, Commander Chin studied the readouts from their scans of the Council station. "Sir, I'm detecting over 30 different species present, all with significantly different biological signatures." Admiral Hayes nodded. "And their technology?" "Mixed," Chin replied. "Their propulsion systems exceed our current capabilities by approximately 30%, but their weapons technology is—" She paused, double-checking her readings. "Surprisingly inefficient. High energy input, low output. Nothing like what was used at Proxima." Hayes' eyes narrowed. "So either they're hiding their best tech, or the Proxima attack involved technology not sanctioned by the Council." Chin finished. This complicated matters. Earth's intelligence had assumed a unified front, but the evidence suggested factions and divided interests. Perhaps the Council itself hadn't authorized the attack. Perhaps they truly didn't know the full story. In the Council chambers, Chancellor Zell Thursday convened an emergency session of the Inner Circle, the 12 most powerful members who truly govern galactic affairs. "What do we actually know about these humans?" demanded Counselor Vex Aaron. Admiral Cora's hologram flickered. "Less than we thought. Our monitoring protocols failed. Somehow, they advanced centuries beyond our projections. We need to know their intentions," hissed Representative Mock of Krell Collective, his exoskeleton clicking nervously. One ship could be a diplomatic mission. It could also be an assessment of our defenses before an invasion. The word hung heavy in the chamber. Invasion. The concept was almost foreign in Council space, where conflict had been regulated and controlled for millennia. "There's something else," Cora added reluctantly. "Something in the design of their vessel. Suggests knowledge they shouldn't possess. Technology that isn't theirs, or ours." Admiral Hayes studied the Council representatives on the view screen. Their alien features impossible to read by human standards. But after 30 years commanding ships and leading people, Hayes had learned to sense fear regardless of species. These beings were terrified, not just of the Everest, but of something else, something they weren't saying. "Chancellor Zell Thursday," Hayes said, breaking the tense silence, "we provided evidence of the Proxima attack. We've shown you our recovered data logs. Yet your responses remain evasive. Earth is prepared for peaceful relations, but first we need truth." Commander Chin stepped closer, speaking in a low voice. "Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy fluctuations from the station's lower quadrant. They're powering something up." Hayes gave an imperceptible nod, then addressed the aliens again. "We'll await your response. Chancellor, you have 1 Earth hour." He signaled to cut the transmission. The moment the screen went dark, Hayes turned to his crew. "Battle stations. Alert the hidden fleet to standby status." "You think they'll attack?" Chin asked, already knowing the answer. "I think someone will," Hayes replied, "but I'm not convinced it's the Council." Deep within the Council station, Princess Lyra moved swiftly through restricted corridors, her royal access codes bypassing security checkpoints. The information she'd uncovered couldn't wait. If her suspicions were correct, both humans and the Council were being manipulated toward conflict. She reached a sealed door marked with the symbol of the Science Directorate, the division responsible for monitoring primitive species. Her hand trembled slightly as she pressed her palm against the scanner. The door slid open, revealing a dimly lit archive room filled with data crystals. "There has to be proof," she whispered, moving toward the section labeled Soul System. On Earth, General Walsh received an urgent transmission from Deep Space Monitoring Outposts. "General, We're detecting spatial distortions consistent with multiple ships dropping out of FDL. Trajectory suggests they're heading toward the Arcturus system. Walsh leaned forward. Council reinforcements? Unknown, ma'am. Signature doesn't match any Council propulsion systems in our database. Walsh's expression hardened. Alert the Zeus, Apollo, and Athena. They may need to decloak sooner than planned. In the Council's inner circle chamber, panic was spreading. Admiral Cora's hologram flickered violently as she delivered the news. Unknown vessels approaching from Sector 9. Configuration matches no known species. Counselor Vexarin's scales paled. The Drothi denied everything. They swore they acted alone at Proxima. They lied, hissed Chancellor Zell Thursday. Or they were never acting alone to begin with. The chamber doors burst open as Princess Lyra rushed in, clutching a data crystal. Guards moved to intercept her, but Zell Thursday waved them back. Princess Lyra, this is a closed session. The humans are right, Lyra exclaimed, out of breath from running, but they don't know the whole truth. Neither did we. She inserted the crystal into the central console. A hologram flickered to life. Footage from the Proxima incident that no one in the chamber had seen before. It showed the human research vessel being attacked, but the attackers weren't standard Drothi ships. They were using technology far beyond anything the Council races possessed. These aren't Drothi weapons, Admiral Cora stated, her military expertise evident in her tone. This energy signature, it's similar to what we're detecting from the approaching vessels now. On the Everest, Commander Chen's console lit up with urgent warnings. Admiral, multiple vessels dropping out of FDL. Sir, they match the configuration of the ships that attacked at Proxima. Hayes' eyes narrowed. All hands, combat ready. Transmit recognition codes to our hidden fleet. Authorization, Thermopylae. Transmitting, Chen confirmed, her fingers dancing across the interface. Sir, should we warn the Council? Hayes hesitated only a moment. Open a channel. Before he could speak, the main view screen activated on its own. The face that appeared wasn't Chancellor Zell Thursday or any Council member. The being had dark, leathery skin stretched tight over an elongated skull. Its eyes were solid black, revealing nothing. Humans of Earth. It spoke, its voice translated by the ship systems. How predictable you are. How easily manipulated. Hayes maintained his composure. Identify yourself. We have many names across many worlds, the being replied. To the Drothi, we were gods who gifted them technology. To your primitive ancestors, we were shadows in the night. You may call us the Harvesters. In the Council chamber, the same transmission appeared on their screens. Chancellor Zell Thursday recognized the species immediately from ancient records. Her tentacles curled in primal fear. The precursors, she whispered. They've returned. On Earth, General Walsh watched the transmission with growing dread as the being continued speaking. You believed you were seeking justice for your fallen comrades at Proxima. In reality, you were following the path we laid for you, leading your most powerful warship and the technology you so cleverly reverse-engineered, directly to us. Hayes felt a chill run down his spine as the pieces finally clicked into place. The attack on Proxima, he said. It was bait. Bait, the Harvester confirmed, its lipless mouth curving into what might have been a smile. For millennia, we have watched countless species rise and fall. Most are predictable, unworthy of our attention. But occasionally we find potential. On the Everest Bridge, warning klaxons blared as tactical displays highlighted 12 massive vessels, surrounding them in a perfect containment formation. Each dwarfed the Everest, their hulls decorated with symbols that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly. Sir, they're scanning us, Commander Chen reported, her voice steady despite the situation. Penetrating scans. They're mapping our entire ship, including the experimental core. Hayes felt his blood run cold. The quantum displacement core was Earth's most closely guarded secret. Reverse engineered from fragments of the Proxima wreckage, but significantly improved upon by human scientists. It was the heart of their technological leap forward. Block those scans. Initiate protocol Dark Shield. Hayes ordered. Too late. the Harvester said, proving it could access their communications. Your displacement core is already understood. Primitive, but impressively modified. Your species takes what you find and improves upon it with surprising ingenuity. This is why you were chosen. In the council chambers, Chancellor Zell Thursday turned to Princess Lyra, panic evident in her fluctuating skin patterns. The archives you accessed, was there anything about their weaknesses? Any historical record of defeating them? Lyra shook her head. Only fragments. They appeared throughout our ancient histories, always as benefactors bringing technology, then disappearing after conflicts erupted between those who received their gifts. Admiral Cora's hologram stabilized as she accessed restricted military files. There is one account. A species called the Valari claimed to have driven them back 3,000 years ago, before they went extinct. Convenient, muttered Counselor Vexarin. On Earth, General Walsh was receiving fragmentary communications from the Everest when her aide burst into the command center. General, priority alert from Luna Base. They've detected a quantum signature matching the Harvester ships, but it's coming from beneath the surface of Mars. Walsh's eyes widened. Mars? There's nothing on Mars except the research outposts and the terraforming stations. Ma'am, the signature is emanating from Olympus Mons. Something is activating. Back on the Everest, Hayes maintained his composure as he addressed the Harvester. If we were chosen, for what purpose? What do you want from humanity? Want? The alien's black eyes seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. We do not want. We harvest. We seed worlds with technology, wait for the indigenous species to develop it further. Then we return to collect the improvements. Your quantum displacement technology has evolved beyond our projections. It will be added to our collection. And the people who created it? Hayes asked, though he already suspected the answer. Usually eliminated. But humans show unusual potential. You may be permitted to serve. Before Hayes could respond, a priority communication cut through the Harvester's transmission. Princess Lyra's face appeared on a secondary screen, her expression urgent. Admiral Hayes, the Council had nothing to do with Proxima. The Harvesters have been manipulating both our civilizations. They've done this before. They're technological parasites who can't innovate, only steal. The Harvester's transmission flickered as it attempted to block Lyra's signal. More importantly, she continued, her voice breaking up, I've found records suggesting they always leave a dormant something on promising worlds. There may be one on Mars. The transmission cut off abruptly. Sir, Chin said, her voice low but urgent. The Zeus is reporting they've detected the same energy signature from Mars. Something massive is powering up beneath Olympus Mons. Hayes made a split-second decision. Signal the fleet. Decloak now. Across the Arcturus system, 3 Earth battleships shimmered into visibility, their sudden appearance causing consternation among both the Council forces and the Harvester ships. The lead Harvester's expression didn't change, but something in its posture suggested surprise. Interesting. Your deception skills are more developed than anticipated. We're full of surprises, Hayes replied coldly. Including this one. We never installed the quantum displacement core you detected. That was a decoy system designed to be scanned. For the first time, the Harvesters seemed genuinely unsettled. Impossible. Our scans were exactly what we wanted you to see, Hayes interrupted. Humanity has learned not to put all its technological eggs in one basket, especially after Proxima. On Earth, General Walsh watched as satellite imagery showed something massive emerging from the Martian surface, a structure of clearly alien design that had lain dormant for perhaps thousands of years. Emergency evacuations of the Martian colonies were already underway, but Walsh knew they wouldn't be fast enough. Get me a direct line to the Everest, she ordered, and prepare the Soul Defense Grid for activation. Her aide paled. The grid hasn't been tested at full capacity. It's about to be, Walsh replied grimly. As the Harvester ships began charging weapons, Admiral Hayes opened an encrypted channel to the Council station. Chancellor Zell Thursday, I believe we have a common enemy, and not much time. Chancellor Zell Thursday didn't hesitate. Agreed, Admiral. Transmitting tactical frequencies now. The next moments unfolded in controlled chaos as both human and Council ships coordinated their efforts against the Harvester fleet. The Everest moved into position alongside the Council's flagship, the Eternal Light, their combined weapons targeting the lead Harvester vessel. All ships target their propulsion systems. Hayes ordered, "We need to keep them contained while Earth deals with the Mars situation." On Mars, the alien structure had fully emerged from Olympus Mons, a towering spire of black metal that pulsed with sickly green energy. Emergency shuttles filled the Martian skies as colonists evacuated, but thousands remained trapped in the underground habitats of Valles Marineris. General Walsh watched the tactical display with grim determination. Sole defense grid at 90% charge. Targeting solutions locked on the Mars anomaly. Her aide approached with a data tablet. "General, we received the analysis from the science team. They believe the structure is some kind of beacon. It's calling the rest of the Harvester fleet." Walsh nodded. "Then we destroy it before they arrive. Commence firing sequence." Across Earth orbit, massive defense platforms that had been disguised as routine space stations revealed their true nature. Weapon ports open as they aligned toward Mars, charging with brilliant blue energy. In the Arcturus system, the battle raged. The Zeus took heavy damage as it positioned itself between a Harvester ship and the Council station. The Apollo and Athena coordinated their attacks with surprising effectiveness alongside the Council fleet, whose captains had quickly adapted to human battle tactics. "Sir, we've opened a gap in their formation," Commander Chin reported, her uniform stained with blood from a minor head wound. "But our shields are failing, and the Zeus reports critical damage to their core containment." Hayes made his decision. Order the Zeus to evacuate essential personnel and set collision course with the lead Harvester ship. Will provide covering fire. Captain Reese of the Zeus acknowledged the order without hesitation. "Understood, Admiral. It's been an honor." As evacuation pods jettisoned from the Zeus, the damaged battleship accelerated toward the massive Harvester mothership, its engines pushed beyond safety limits. The Harvester leader's face appeared once more on the Everest view screen. "This sacrifice will change nothing. We have harvested countless civilizations more advanced than yours. Our fleet approaches even now." Hayes allowed himself a grim smile. "You're right about one thing. The Zeus won't change the outcome." On Mars, the sole defense grid fired. Dozens of energy beams converged on the alien spire, enveloping it in blinding light. For a moment, it seemed to absorb the assault. Then structural failures cascaded through its crystalline matrix. As the Zeus neared its target, the Harvester mothership concentrated its firepower on the human vessel, tearing through its already damaged hull. But Captain Reese had one final card to play. "For Earth," she whispered, and activated the quantum displacement core. Not the decoy the Harvesters had scanned, but the actual experimental device. Modified to overload catastrophically when triggered, the explosion tore a hole in space itself, creating a localized gravity well that dragged in 3 Harvester ships, including their mothership. The remaining Harvesters, suddenly leaderless, broke formation in disarray. On Mars, the alien spire collapsing on itself, its energy signature dissipating. The immediate threat was over, but at tremendous cost. "We did it," Chin whispered on the Everest bridge. "Part of it," Hayes corrected, "but this isn't over." In the council chambers, Princess Lyra studied the ancient text she discovered in the archives. The passage that caught her attention translated roughly to, "Those who harvest are themselves seeds planted by what came before." As celebrations erupted across Earth and the Council worlds, a single transport ship slipped away from the battlefield. Inside, the Harvester leader watched impassively as its physical form deteriorated, revealing something else beneath. Something older and far more alien. Interesting. It communicated to its distant masters. The humans exceeded parameters. They are ready for the next phase. In Earth's lunar research facility, scientists monitoring deep space detected an unusual signal originating from beyond the galaxy's edge. As they enhanced and decoded it, the message became clear: test successful. Harvest protocols suspended. Elevation protocols initiated. 3 months after the Battle of Arcturus, as it was now called in both human and council space, Admiral Hayes stood at the observation deck of the newly constructed joint station orbiting neutral territory. The station, named Unity, represented something unprecedented in galactic history, a true alliance between Earth and the Galactic Council. Below him, representatives from 27 species mingled in what had once been unthinkable cooperation. Engineers from Earth worked alongside their alien counterparts, sharing insights on propulsion systems, while council biologists introduced humans to medical techniques centuries beyond their previous understanding. Quite a sight, isn't it? Commander Chen approached, her uniform now bearing the new insignia of the Joint Defense Force. The scar on her temple from the battle had healed, leaving only a faint line. "Worth everything it cost to get here," Hayes replied, though his eyes reflected the weight of those costs. The Zeus and her crew, 38% of Mars infrastructure, thousands of lives across both human and council space. The Drothi delegation arrived this morning, Chen reported. They still claimed they were manipulated, that the harvesters provided them with technology and encouraged the proximate attack. Hayes nodded. They probably were, but they still made their choices. On Earth, General Walsh presided over the activation ceremony for the Remembrance Memorial in Geneva, a towering structure of marble and steel. It bore the names of every human lost in what was now officially called the First Contact War. At its center stood a holographic display showing Captain Reese of Zeus, her final transmission playing on a continuous loop. "We stand for humanity, not because we seek dominance, but because we seek understanding." The memorial had become a symbol of Earth's new position in galactic affairs. No longer isolated, no longer naive, but not conquerors either. Something unique. In her private chambers in the Alderan Palace, Princess Lyra reviewed the latest translations of the ancient texts she'd discovered. Working with human linguists had accelerated her research exponentially. The fragments were beginning to form a coherent picture of galactic history that neither humans nor the Council had previously understood. "The cycle repeats," she read aloud from a particularly illuminating passage. "Those who pass the test become the new shepherds, guiding the younger races until they too are tested." Her communication device chimed with an incoming transmission from Earth's Science Directorate. Dr. Alexander Foster's face appeared, the human scientist looking excited despite obvious exhaustion. "Princess, we've deciphered more of the signal from beyond the galaxy. Well, you should see for yourself." The screen filled with a complex mathematical sequence that gradually resolved into a three-dimensional star map. At its center lay the Milky Way, but surrounding it were hundreds of other galaxies, some marked with symbols that matched those found in the ancient texts. "They're inviting us," Dr. Foster explained. "Both humans and the Council. Whatever these beings are, they want us to join something much bigger than our galactic squabbles." Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. "Have you shared this with your government?" "And yours," Foster confirmed. "A joint expedition is already being discussed." At the Unity Station, the formal alliance signing ceremony was underway. Chancellor Zell Thursday's tentacles moved in graceful patterns as she signed the document, followed by the Earth President. Applause erupted from the assembled dignitaries. Admiral Hayes found himself standing next to Counselor Vexarin, who had once been among the most vocal anti-human voices in the Council. "Did you ever imagine we would end up here, Admiral?" the alien asked, his scales shifting to contemplative blues and greens. "Fighting alongside each other against ancient space parasites, then signing peace treaties?" Hayes allowed himself a rare smile. "Can't say it was in my 5-year plan." Vexarin made a clicking sound that passed for laughter among his species. "We still have much to learn about humans. Your adaptability is unsettling but impressive." "We had good teachers," Hayes replied. "Fear is one hell of a motivator." In lunar orbit, the research vessel Prometheus prepared for its maiden voyage. Built with combined human and council technology, it represented the pinnacle of their shared knowledge. Its mission, to investigate the signal source beyond the galaxy's edge. Captain Diana Chun, formerly Commander-Chin of the Everest, reviewed the final preparations. Her crew was a mix of humans and council species, each selected for their expertise and adaptability. "Captain, final checks complete. reported her first officer, a tall Aldrin whose translucent skin glowed with neural activity. "We're ready to depart on your command." Chen nodded, thinking of how far they'd come. From Earth's isolation to the brink of war, then to unexpected alliance, and now to joint exploration of mysteries beyond their comprehension. The journey had been costly, but the destination, a united front facing the universe together, seemed worth the price. "Send a message to Earth Command and the Council," she ordered. "Prometheus departing as scheduled. Next communication will come from interstellar space." As the Prometheus moved away from the lunar dock, its experimental drives humming with power, Chen couldn't help but reflect on the strange path that had led her here. The Harvesters had intended to exploit humanity's potential, never expecting that same potential would defeat them. Whatever waited beyond the galaxy's edge, test opportunity, or new threat, humanity would face it not alone, but alongside newfound allies. The stars beckoned, no longer distant and unreachable, but a road map to humanity's future. Chen gave the order, and the Prometheus leapt forward, carrying the combined hopes, dreams, and determination of Earth and the Council into the unknown.